That should be it. Hopefully here I can mute all this stuff up. Make sure I'm not getting any feedback going on. Like I said, it usually just takes a couple seconds, so if you don't mind. All right, guys, I got the comment box open. I should be good to go here. Go ahead and ask any questions, and we're gonna get rolling. If I can make sure have a little bit of confirmation. There we are. We got confirmation. We are good to go. Let's roll the intro. That's it. Subscribe to the channel if you would. My name is Seth here with Dark Waters Fly Shop, doing some more quarantine sessions of live streaming. We're going to be doing some giveaways as well, so for those of you that know the drill, just hang with me for a second. This is my third video in the quarantine sessions, which means that this hat, and this fly tying kit right here, this is for the Davy Jones. It's a smallmouth bass popper. And everything to tie this fly, actually 2 of these flies to be exact, is going to be in this box. I'll mail this out to you. Comes with a card, some cool stickers, and then all of the things that you would need that's a little overexposed. Let's go to the better camera and try this out. So zooming in here for you. This comes with all of the materials to tie this fly. They're all white, so that's still overexposed. Whatever. So all that to say, you're going to get some sweet Flyman Fishing stickers to go with that. All you got to do is be subscribed to the channel and throw a comment in there. For some reason, I'm not seeing any public comments yet. So if you're watching, please go ahead and hit it up. So today, what we're going to do is, if you were with me yesterday, we did a streamer. We did an articulated pike streamer, and it's right here. I still have this thing. This is what happened. I followed the protocol until it dried. For those of you that watched, this is the streamer, and I'm going to go ahead and switch cameras here for you guys. I'm going to explain a little bit of it. We're going to retie this thing today, but the title of this video is called Learning from My Mistakes, and the reason why this is important is because there are a number of things that I did yesterday when I tied this fly, that when I went back and I rewatched the video and you could watch yourself from kind of a third-person view, I realized that there are things that I would do completely differently, doing it all over again. And so that's kind of funny when I think about it. But this fly, so we're going to do the back end roughly the same, a couple changes there. And then the head, we're also going to keep the same profile and everything. We're going to change up a little bit of the colors. We're going to do a couple things different as well. But what I did, and I think it's very interesting, and I would like to encourage you guys to do this when you're tying flies. If you're taking this seriously, you're taking your flies seriously. This all started from a gentleman that posted on my Facebook page when I said I was going to do a live video. And he commented and he said, please do something that articulates and will kick out and kind of jackknife on the paws. And so I decided I'm going to name this fly, because I had a fly that does that already. This is the pattern. I'm going to name it the Jackknife. I do mostly pirate-themed fly names for the flies that I have. Somebody's probably already designed another fly that's extremely similar, probably better. This isn't a competition. So this is just my fly. We're going to call it the Jackknife. The concept, though, is that this back end, and we're going to tie this, the back end is heavier. So it's got some marabou tied in there that absorbs water. All right, it's got a lot of bucktail in there and everything too, but this is going to be a heavier fly. It's going to absorb water. The back end is going to be heavier, and the front end is going to be very narrow. All right, you see how narrow the front end of that is right there? That's so that this operates as a keel, and it's going to catch water and turn when the back end, which absorbs water, is going to continue to push it after you stop stripping. So one hard strip, this thing's going to shoot forward. When you stop, the head is going to catch water and turn one way or the other. The back end is going to push it, and it's going to cause a jackknife. And I've actually tied flies that when you strip these things in and you pull them, I've got them so that at sometimes when you're stripping them in, they'll pull a whole, almost a 180 on you. And so that's the concept of this fly. So we're gonna go ahead and tie this up and stick with me. Answering my first question, Lou, your first question is, do you have any confirmed cases of the flu up there? I don't think you have the concentration of people. I will say this. I was just invited to be a part. I'm a pastor in our community, and so I do have some involvement with our local hospitals. As you know, I minister to people in there, kind of a little bit of a chaplain status there for you. But what I do know is that there are no confirmed cases in Iron County as of right now. But that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. So moving on from that, this is what I did in preparation. I don't know if you guys can see this, but this is how crazy I got with this fly pattern. When I started looking through this, I said, you know what? I watched this video that I did yesterday, and I really broke it down. I'm really serious about the way that I do this, and so I want to make sure that it happens correctly. So what I did was I changed up some colors on this. All these markings up here, these are all colors that are gonna be different. And then I did over here, I did the order in which I'm tying. So I'm legitimately just gonna prop this up for myself so I can see that. And you know, when you go back, for those of you that'll watch this on the replay, when you can, you could do you could stop the screen right there and you could watch a little bit of it. These darker spots are the marabou. So the darker spots in there are the marabou, and then the lighter spots are the bucktail. So that is just for me to see. Let's go ahead and get involved right now, and we'll go ahead and try to crank this out. The last 2 live videos I've done have been super long, so I'm gonna try to pick up the pace just a little bit, and I will show you the process here. So I started out, I'm using GSP 150 denier. I am on a Umpqua X series hook. So these are the hooks that I'm using. This is a 3/0. All right. So that's there. I bought that from Tight Lines down in Green Bay. Support your local fly shops. We're gonna come in with some yellow bucktail right off the top. So let's go ahead and just start cranking on this fly. Not a huge amount of bucktail here. I'm not going to put this on in a way that I want it to flare a lot. So let's just do this. And I'm going to explain some of the mistakes that I made yesterday in this process for you guys. And I think it's important that we all admit our shortcomings when we're tying. I just saw myself do a lot of things yesterday in the live video that I thought were really sloppy. So, and I'm not afraid to admit that at all. I'm not afraid in any way to admit that that I was being sloppy. So, as I go back and I look at that video, there's a lot of things that I see myself doing that I'm like, I don't really care for that. I got my trash can down here right next to me. So, just, yeah, that's there. All right. Going back to the vise, I have this right here. Gonna lay this on top, twist up my bobbin a little bit. It makes that thread fall the way I want it. Right? You see how easily that comes down. You can go ahead and tie that in right there. A few loose wraps. I'm not gonna try to spin this. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm just letting it settle over that over the hook shank right there. One tight pull. Good. That's gonna flare right away. Watch. Boom. See how that flares? I'm gonna take some loose wraps and I'm gonna go ahead and put them over the top of that. So I'm gonna come back here. Here, this is where I start screwing up a little bit. There we go. Couple loose wraps. Boom, boom. I'm working my way back. All right. Before I go forward again, I'm gonna just look at that and see what I think. I really like that. Continuing loose wraps forward. I'm not going to start tightening down those wraps until boom right there. Now that is the way that I want that fly to look. I'm going to trim this off. Without cutting my thread, right? Like I said, this video is a do-over from yesterday. I watched myself make a lot of mistakes, so I'm taking it as an opportunity. We've got time right now to do it. And I encourage you guys to evaluate the way that you're tying so that you can start tying better. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. And that's a very healthy thing to do. All right, so I've already prepped some of my hackle feathers. I'm going to go ahead and tie this in here. One of the things that I know that I will not have perfected between yesterday and today is trying to control the way that these hackle feathers lay. They like to roll on you, and I have had a really hard time. I've watched a lot of videos with guys that try to show me how to get your hackle feathers to not roll on you. When I say roll on you, I mean you're holding it this way, you tie it in, and then all of a sudden when you go back and look at your fly, your hackle feather's kind of like that. The best advice that I've been given is to take the feather, when you measure it out like this, you strip off that marabou section of it, you take your scissors and you pinch the barb like that and then flatten it out, the back part of your scissors, not the blade, and you just pinch it and flatten it out. Now in this case, it worked for me. I can tell already that worked. However, if you go back and watch yesterday's video, I tried to do that a handful of times, and it didn't work on either one. So, maybe it's just trial and error. I'm not sure. If you're really good at tying and you're watching this video and you want to leave me some comments and some tips, I would totally be down. So, let's go ahead and wrap that in. A little glue. Boom. Not a lot, just enough to secure that. I'm going to go over the top of it. I want to make sure that glue's not super tacky, because what I'm about to do is put some deer hair, not bucktail, but deer hair in there. All right? So that is my fly tail to start. Now, I have two different kinds of orange that I'm going to be using, and it doesn't have anything to do with the color orange. It's the length of the fur. So regular dyed deer hair and bucktail. Starting with the regular dyed deer hair. So I'm going to go ahead to that. And I am going to tie this in a way where it's going to flare all the way around that bucktail. Go ahead and leave me some comments, guys. Again, this is a do-over from yesterday. I'm just running my mouth here because nobody's commenting. If you have any questions about this, go ahead and let me know. The way that I'm tying this is I'm putting more weight in the back of the fly, and I'm making the front articulated part very narrow and tall so that it catches water and it jackknifes. This fly is something that I've been playing with for a few years now. I'm sure there's other people that are doing it and may even do it better than me, but I've got time, and so we're just going to go ahead and do it up. All right. So there's that fur, that deer hair. Gonna lay it in, twist this up, go ahead and trim that to the length that I think I need it to be. Okay. One, 2, 3. Push it down around that hook shank, pull it tight, flare it out. Just like that, okay? I'm not worried about how tall that's flaring right now, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some marabou. I'm going to actually wrap this through there, right there. Wrapping it through all of those fibers, working my way forward. Okay, now I'm going to do two things here. I've got two different colors marabou. I've got orange, and I've got white. And what I'm going to do in this process is I'm going to be tying this barred orange marabou on the top of this thing. I'm going to be taking these pieces. I'm just going to go ahead and pull them out, and I'm going to rip it off of there. And I'm going to lay those. I'm going to tie those in on the top, and then I'm going to take some of the white, and I'm going to tie it in on the bottom. Let's go ahead and just do the white first on the bottom. So take yourself some marabou. I'm going to strip that off of there. It doesn't have to be a ton, but you do want to two-tone this. That's just the way that I do it. You don't have to. You could do whatever you want. You could use craft fur if you're so inclined. The reason why I say marabou or craft fur is because this is going to add some weight. This stuff absorbs water, and so on the back end of this fly, as we tie this stuff in, like so, we're going to absorb a lot of water, and then when we strip this through, so the bucktail is acting like profile, the deer hair is acting like profile, and the marabou is absorbing water and giving it weight. So we're just doing a two-tone deal, barred, marabou, and orange on the top, white on the bottom. Okay. Now yesterday I came in with some yesterday I came in at this point with some mylar. I frayed the mylar out and I used that for flash. I think that's pretty cool. I went a little overkill on it with this fly yesterday. Today I went in and I cut a little bit of it off because I wasn't extremely happy with it. But what I'm going to do first is I've got some of this material here. It's called Microlon. I really like it. It's got some cool properties to it. So I'm just going to trim some of this off and tie it in. This is just kind of the flash element of the fly. You can see I don't have a lot of long fibers left of my Microlon, but what I'm going to do is they're kind of staggered. So I'm just going to wrap it around the hook. Just going to kind of pull it out like that. And this is operating kind of like a flash. So I'm just putting it all the way around there. Just giving it a little bit of pop in that color. So as you can see here, and I may add just a little bit more flash to this section of the fly. Okay, a little bit of flash there. Let me just take a little bit of this orange Flashaboo. Not a lot of it. I just want a little bit. I've got probably 7, 8 strands. I'm going to taper it out like this. Lay it on the top of here. 70, 30, 60, 40, something like that. Okay. Laying it on there. Just like that. Just giving it a little bit of color. A little bit of pop. All right, now the next thing I'm going to do, because at this point I have laid on yellow bucktail. I've then put orange bucktail. Then I've done marabou. All right, that's actually deer hair. All right, I'm not calling that bucktail. That's deer hair. All right, and the next thing I did was some flash, and now I'm going to put on some bucktail. So I started with yellow. I went to orange, and now I'm going to do a little bit more yellow bucktail on there. I'm coming back. I'm not going to do any really, really long fibers. I'm going to come in, and I'm going to go on both sides of the hook shank. I'm going to put this on so it wraps all the way around the hook shank. Okay? This part here, you can see I've got some pretty long pieces there. I'm not going to use that full length. I'm going to hold it up to my hook here. And before, my bucktail was about this long off the tail. But now at this point, I'm moving up front, and I'm going to tie it in about like, probably about like that. So that's like a length of the hook. But I'm going to trim this, so I got to cut all that off. So coming back through there. Lou asked the question, are there general or specific places where I buy my supplies from? Because I own a fly shop, I do have some wholesale accounts. I jump back and forth with a lot of stuff. One thing I will tell you, even as a fly shop owner, whenever I am in another fly shop, I am dropping coin. I want to support those other businesses, because it all comes back. And it's not just because it benefits me, but it's because it comes back and benefits all of us. So I love giving business to Tight Lines. I love giving business to Bill Shearer's We Tie It Fly Shop in Boulder Junction. All of those places do online orders right now, and they could really, really use the support. I will go to Iron Mountain, and I will buy supplies from Hardcore Outfitters. I will, when I'm up in Marquette, I will buy supplies from Superior Outfitters. Nick Simon is up there. That guy's brilliant when it comes to the sport. He knows what he's doing. And right now, because I've been talking so much, I realize that I did not tie that as dense as I wanted it to. I am learning from my mistakes, and I am not afraid to do that over again. I need to flare that out a little bit more than I did. So I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to redo that. Keep asking questions, even though you distracted me. Haha, that's funny. All right, coming back here, going to grab some more bucktail out of this here. The other thing is other places that I buy my supplies from. Hairline Dubbing. I do. Gosh, that's not what I want right there. Sorry, I can't multitask on this part. I'm trying to make sure that I get enough bucktail without getting fibers that aren't going to be hollow enough to flare. I think this is going to be good. I'm using stuff that's a little bit closer to the tip of this tail. I don't usually like to do that because it doesn't flare as well, but I'm doing it right now anyways because I need shorter fibers. And the shorter fibers, I want to use them when I can because you don't want to use all your long fibers and then just chop them all up. Then you have no long fibers left. You pretty much just wasted a bucktail. I could be using deer hair, I suppose, if I had some yellow deer hair, which I think I do have somewhere. So, other places that I buy fly tying materials from. If I need something short notice, I hate to say it, but I use Amazon. I will buy some of my materials on Amazon. I think those are Hairline Dubbing most of the time anyways. I do like this barred marabou is MFC, and that stuff is on fire. I love it, man. I absolutely love it. That's a healthier chunk right there. 3 soft reps. Flare that out. There we go. All right. I like that quite a bit. Coming in, centering that, making sure that it's flared appropriately there. Gonna go ahead and cut all this excess hair off of here. Forget it, I'm gonna get messy. Pinching that, pulling it tight again, moving forward just a little bit. Okay, that's in there. I will glue that too. All right, so you can see that is now yellow, has a little bit of orange, a little bit of yellow back in there. I'm going to start with coming back in with some marabou here. I'm going to make the bottom of this white color. Same thing, I'm just alternating now between deer hair or bucktail, marabou, and flash for the rest of this. And then it's just how you want to do your colors. My color blends, I decided I wanted to change up just a little bit since that pattern that I did yesterday. All right, so you're going to get that two-tone effect on the bottom of your fly like that. Coming back in with my marabou, barred marabou again. I don't want to wet this stuff too much. Like some people, I watch Kelly Gallup tie, right? And it's awesome. I love watching his videos. one of the things that he does is he licks his marabou, or he gets it wet, gets his hand wet with a sponge. But when I do this, I'm trying to get it to kind of spread out. And so I can't get it too wet so that it bunches up, because what'll happen is if I'm not careful, I'm not going to be able to get that to disperse itself properly. So here I am trying to do this, and even like I just said, on this side right here, I have it on the top, right? This side's good looking. On this side is not so much. So I'm going to go ahead and just take some more marabou there, rip that off, come back in right on the top, and I'm going to look at that. I like the way that looks. So there you go. All right, now I'm only going to do one more. Now, the one that I did on here yesterday, again, learning from my mistakes. One of the things that I did on here yesterday was I got a little too crowded on this hook point that when I came up front, and I moved up front on that. So coming back, I have no issue with leaving a little bit of room in between the wraps on these on these parts. And the reason why is because when I do come forward on this a little bit and I tie that bucktail in, it's okay if I've got a little space there. You're not going to be able to see it. So that's what we've got so far. See how when I pull this back, that bucktail pushes it back out a little bit? That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that approach. So I went with yellow. I came in with some orange. I tied in some yellow. Now I'm just going to put some chartreuse on the front of this. Okay, I've got two different colors here. You can see I've got two different colors. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with this little bit more of a green tint to it there. So this one's got some nice shorter fibers here on this section. They're short, but they're not like super short. Grab a healthy chunk so that it shows up and it shows through when I layer this. Okay. And as I work my way forward, I'm actually when I work my way forward on this, I'm actually going to make these fibers just a little bit longer each time. That kind of that teardrop profile. The only thing that I'm tying top and bottom on this fly right now is the marabou. Everything else I'm tying in this is being tied in a way that goes all the way around. So this bucktail comes out on the sides. It's not just top and bottom. This is balanced all the way around the fly. So the marabou is kind of only being tied top and bottom, but the hair is going all sides. So let me hold this up, look at where this is going to be. I like that. I'm just going to trim up my butts here. Going back to here. Twisting that. 1, 2, 3. Push down. Flare and spin that all over the place. Lou just said, I've just started watching you build some flies online. Haven't seen those specific flies for sale in your online shop. Am I just missing them? No, you're not. I have not put these for sale on my online shop. But if you're interested, Lou, go ahead and just send me an email, 906 Waters. If you're interested in some of these, I'd be more than willing to tie some up for you, especially right now, because we are totally slowed down. And I appreciate it. I really do. So I'm getting ready to just tie this in. And I'm going to throw some more marabou on here. A little bit more flash. And then I am done with this section. Okay. Coming back. So that's this rear section so far. Bucktail, schlappen, or hackle feathers. Deer hair, flash, marabou. And this is what I'm looking at right now. I really like this. I think this is working out really well. I'm going to come back just a little bit farther with this. Just to taper that back just a little bit. Not a lot, just a little. All right, white marabou for the bottom part again. Three wraps there. I'm going to put a little bit more. Use a little bit more marabou on that. When I can, I will get you guys a video of these flies in the water, because I'm telling you, when you strip and pause on your strip with these flies, they jackknife so hard in the water. Coming on the top. Gonna put a little bit more in there because I can clearly see from my camera view here that I'm not getting this backside covered on that. Okay. Wrap this in. I will throw a little bit of head cement on there. I'm actually just going to put a little bit more flash in this too. No more microline, just some of this orange flash here. Like the video if you would. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment. You'll get entered for a giveaway. I'll announce winners of the giveaway on the next video, because I've offered 3 prizes and this is my 3rd video. So, just kind of using my fingers to position that flash where I want it to go, so it goes all around that fly. All right, I'm going to tighten this up. Throw some head cement on there. This is going to articulate much better than the fly that I did yesterday. Part of that process of learning from my mistakes, title of the video, okay? And the process that I did differently here on this one than on the one before it is that I left more room up at the front here. I left more room. Oops, sorry. I left more room up at the front on this section than I did on this one. If you go and if I were to really pull this apart and look at my articulation, gosh, I'm not going to be able to. That's why. I mean, in most of my flies, you can pull this stuff apart. You can look at how much room I left at the articulation. That wasn't that much. So this fly will still swim awesome. It'll still work very well. But this is kind of the perfected version. And that's why when I went back and I watched the video that I did last night, I was like, man, I could have done that a lot better than I did. And so that right there is the back half of this fly right there. And now you can see that this marabou that is on the top and on the bottom, that's going to get wet. I didn't, I made that kind of dense. This whole fly, this whole back half is kind of dense. And the reason why that is so that it gets heavy. So when I strip it, there's weight in this. When I tie the front shank, it's going to be flat. So look at how that is. That's not necessarily super top and bottom. That's got profile on the sides too. That's going to absorb water, and it's going to be heavier. And I want that for this fly. Back end heavy, front end narrow and light, so that this catches. I mean, look at that. I can hit this thing, and it's going to catch. And this back end is going to absorb some water. So when you strip it, Back end wants to push the front end forward, and then it jackknifes in the water. That's the idea. All right, let me show you guys how. Again, I'm going to do this quick, cleaning off my area here because I'm going to show you how I make my articulated shanks. Some of you saw this yesterday and really liked it. Look at all of this marabou. My furnace just kicked on, and there's a vent right down here. Sorry. And there's a vent right down beside me. And so it's blowing this marabou straight up into my nose. So fun stuff. All right, here we go. That right there is my Twist Tech device. Got a multi-tool with a wire cutter on it. And I do have my wire right here. I'm going to go ahead and do this. For those of you that have never seen this before, your brain's about to melt. For those of you that have seen it, you're like, gosh, dude, it's not that awesome. Just chill out. So I'm going to go ahead and make this articulated shank for you in pretty record time. Zach Buchanan, what is up, buddy? Thanks for watching. Yes, craft fur could be used. If you would have been watching earlier, then you didn't know that. No, I'm just kidding. Because I did say that. But hey, buddy, I'm glad you're watching. Thank you. I hope you're doing well over on the eastern end of the UP, where there are no fish. By the way, there's no fish where he lives, so don't go over there. All right, coming back to you here. This is that articulated shank that I just made. I'm going to go ahead, if I can find, there it is. If I can find that other part of the body there that I've got going on, I'm going to tie that or connect that right in. Put this into my vise. Tighten it in. All right, and then we are just going to start cranking on the front half of this fly. Super stoked that you're hanging out with me, Zach. That's awesome, man. Hope you're doing well. The wire gets sharp around those edges, so I try to be really careful when I get around it because you will cut your thread. Moving my way up. Right there. I'm going to build up a little thread dam around that edge of that articulated shank. That's the only negative thing about building your own shanks. Coming in, I'm going to do the same thing here. Just building up a little thread dam. Little bump just to protect myself from breaking off when I get there. All right, I'm gonna come in with some more orange bucktail on the back end right here. Looking at, right, yep, that looks good. Part of my purpose, those of you that watch me tie these predator flies, one of the things that I do is I grab a decent chunk of bucktail for this part. This is the only part of bucktail on the front end of this that I'm going to do, that I'm going to let it go all the way around. The rest of this is going to be top and bottom only, meaning I'm going to make sure my bucktail comes straight off the top and straight off the bottom, not off the sides like this, not like a cone off the side. This first part that I do is going to be all the way around, and it's going to flare all the way around. The reason why is I want to create a cone around this articulation for movement. That's what that's for. It's not for any other reason than to just create a cone, an articulation cone, so that it moves free in the water. I see a lot of guys tie articulated flies, but they crowd that gap so much that it doesn't have as much movement. If you take your fly and it's articulated and you hold it up like this, if you hold it up like this and your back end doesn't drop like that, you know, or you hold it to the side and it doesn't turn like that, if you turn it to the side and it doesn't turn like that, you hold it upside down and it doesn't do that, and you don't have like a huge amount of articulation in there, you're doing it wrong. You're absolutely doing it wrong. You should be able to hold that fly up, and the bottom just does a 90 degree. Boom. That's my opinion. And you know what opinions are like. So, twisting this up, coming in here. I'm going to spin this. First of all, I'm going to look and see where I go. Look at that. I'm coming right over the back of that other marabou. I matched my colors at my articulation. Not necessary, but I did it anyway. I'm gonna try something here. I watched a Kelly Gallup video the other day. He talked, because I want to try to spin this. He said that you can take and you do 2.5 turns. So there's 1, there's 2.5. You pull it until you just can barely not see your thread. All right, let's just try it. Let's see how good I am. All right, and then he does one more full turn all the way around. No, I didn't quite get it. Sorry, Kelly. I might need some more lessons. I'm going to just turn this all the way around. Like that. It did evenly distribute itself. So, I'm just coming in here. And what I did was, like I said, I made a cone around that. Just wrapping that in now. So I made a cone for my articulation. You can see that there. I'm going to go ahead and trim this off. Okay. So that part's going to be a little bit longer than I needed it to be for that. Just going to spread some of this around. Try to just push it back a little bit. There we go. Could have reverse tied that, I suppose, to get it to lay the way I wanted it to. Yeah, I like that right there. See how that's starting to profile back. I pull this off. If I were to comb that out, kind of put it together, that's looking good. That's looking real good. All right, there. I might just come back with my thread and do a little bit of loose wrapping around that, and then come forward just to position that back, make that transition. There we go. That's a lot better. Boom. We're good to go. Okay, there's that. Keep the questions coming, guys. I need more to talk about. I'm almost done. You're like, haha, almost done. Gonna come in with another different color flash here before I do my marabou. This is kind of like a perch color flash. A little bit more of it this time. Looking about like that. Gonna taper it off. Something funny about my YouTube channel. Everybody's like always jacked to hit 1,000 subscribers, because once you hit 1,000 subscribers, you can monetize. I'm at 907 or something right now. But there's 2 stipulations for monetizing on YouTube, which is, one of them is that you have to have 1,000 subscribers. The other one is that you need to have 4,000 watch time minutes on your channel. And my watch time minutes are so low, it's ridiculous. So I had a friend of mine that was like, oh, well, if your watch time minutes are low, just start putting out really long videos. And I was like, well, it's not going to be an issue, because my my tying videos have been super long lately. So, whatever. All right, there's that. Coming in with more marabou. Going to flip it, put some white on the bottom. Oh, that flash got a little carried away there. Repositioning a little bit of this. Learning from my mistakes. There we go. Got it all spread around there. Pretty healthy now. Coming in with marabou. For the bottom. Craft fur is good. Like Zach said, craft fur is good for this. The issue is getting long enough craft fur in some cases to be able to cover that full flare of bucktail. And actually, probably not in lots of cases, but in some, I was going to use craft fur for this fly, but when I went to my drawer and pulled out my craft fur, all of the craft fur that I had was actually really short. So, just something to keep in mind. I love how long this MFC barred marabou is. A piece of flash that's just giving me crap right now. That, I know that didn't go all the way over on that other side. As you can see, there's a blank spot right here. What I did was I matched it on this side, and I'm going to come over with just a little bit more on that side. It does help having that camera up in front of me because I can see the other side of my fly. When you don't have that, when I first started fly tying, one side of my fly would look really, really good, and then yeah. Okay. So brook trout. Yes. To answer your question, I am making the same fly that I did yesterday, but I'm improving on a lot of things. I went back and I watched that video a little bit. Not the whole thing. That was long. I can't stand watching an hour and a half of myself. But one of the things some of the stuff that I noticed in that fly, I didn't really like. And when I was watching myself tie it, I was like, like I could have done that better. I could have done that better. And so there were a number of things that I noticed that I wasn't a fan of. And I just figured, you know what? I'm just going to learn from my mistakes and tie this thing again. So right now, this is what I'm looking at. I went back. I've got some of that orange back here, some chartreuse. I've got yellowtail. I've got some flash, which I like. It's a good distribution of flash. I didn't use that mylar on this one. I could have, but I left a wider cone back here for articulation. And, if I hold up this other fly and you look at the articulation, that's hanging at about a 45, right? It's not really coming down to that 90-degree angle that I want it to have. It does on the sides, which is kind of cool. I can get some really good articulation there. This thing's going to kick like crazy in the water. I'm not worried about it. But there were just some things that I realized that I could have done better. So that's what I'm working on right now. If you go back and watch this again, I actually even drew it out. I did the order of operations on there and stuff. Bucktail, schlappen, deer hair, marabou, flash, bucktail, marabou, and then for this end here, my colors are changing. So I started with orange. I'm going to end up going to a darker green. I'm going to do a top and bottom layer of chartreuse on top, orange on the bottom, and then I'm going to darken it up in green on top, and then chartreuse on the bottom there. So it's going to walk forward a little bit and have some stuff going on. I'm no longer going to be using marabou in the front of this anymore. That was the last bit of marabou that I'm going to do, and the reason why is because I don't want weight on the front of this. I'm going to start creating this into a sail now, and that's what we're going to do. So I did orange on the back. Now I'm going to do green on the top. You see this green layer that I did back here, this chartreuse right here. That was this color. I'm actually not going to use that right now. The reason why is because I want to get a little bit more of a barring taking place in this fly to give it kind of that perch resemblance or something like that. So I'm coming up with this bucktail. This is going to be top and bottom, so I'm going to grab a decent chunk. I'm going to spin this all the way around, but I'm going to pinch it so that it goes top and bottom, not all the way around it like this, right? So hopefully that answered your question, brook trout. Hope you're doing well today. How long is my video so far? 48 minutes. Yikes. I got to keep rolling. Trying to get these to be a little bit quicker than they normally are. All right. Looking at my taper there. All right. Trying to make sure that let's maybe bring it. Let's maybe bring that just there before we really start cranking this thing and making it wide. So I'll walk this forward just a little bit. I'm going to walk it to there. Okay. And then when we get there, we're going to flare it out. So let's do top and bottom. Let me also try this. I'm going to split up this. I'm going to pull a little bit of hair out of here. And instead of spinning it around there, I'm going to tie this on top. I'm going to pinch it. A couple loose wraps. I'm going to hold all this on top. And I'm going to flare it. There we go. I'm not letting it go. I'm not letting it go down. I'm not letting it go down here. Okay. I'm going to cut a little bit more off. The bottom part of this. Make sure that I'm matched there as far as look at this. Come in here. This top part spread around just a little bit. So I'm pinching it. I'm pulling it. I want that to really go top and bottom. Top. Look at this. See how that just narrowed right up and that went straight to the top and the bottom? That's what I want. I'm going to glue that in. Wrap this forward. Just going to kind of crank all that down on there. That taper looks good to me. Just wrapping that up, making it real tight. Okay, drop of glue. Haha, changing your water heater, brook trout. There you go. Hopefully this is a good break for you. Wrapping that up. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in. All right, I have, at this point, I'm going to tie in chartreuse, and then I'm going to do orange. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So let me go from last time I did, let's do this bright chartreuse color. Because I really want to, at this point, I really want to promote some barring in this. I want to promote some barring on the front and the back. Sorry, not on the front and the back, but in the colors, like the profile. You can see like here I've got some orange back here, then I've got yellow, then I've got orange, then I've got green. It's like light, dark, just try to promote some barring on those colors. That's my goal. Gonna go ahead and now I'm only doing top and bottom wraps now, so I don't need to grab a stupid amount of deer hair. Okay? I don't need to grab a lot. Looking at my profile here. That looks good. Pinch this. Flare it. Boom. Okay. I think I like that. Okay. There's a little bit of this coming up on top. It did push this green back a little bit, but I think I can work that. I think I can work that in a way that I like. Okay, let's just leave it there for right now. Yeah, that right there. Top and bottom, not side to side. I may even come in and trim just like that. Maybe a little bit more. That, I think I like that. Okay. Bottom, doing orange. Come in with some orange. Looking at my length. Cleaning out my garters. Coming in here. Very much like that. Very much like the way that came there. I'm going to put another wrapper on this. And I'm going to push it just slightly over there, the way those two colors meet. Just like that. Now this is coming straight up. See that? That's going to get corrected, so I'm not 100% concerned about that. Grab these. Wrap those together. Trim that up. Okay? Pinching this side to side. Coming through. Tightening that down. Forward, wrapping forward. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of glue on that. That way it stays where I want it to. And then I'm going to wrap over the top of it again. Then I'm going to show you something right before we finish this off. Yeah, to answer your question, Todd, I will do some smaller trout streamers. I'm not going to do any like really small trout streamers. The only reason why I don't like to do small trout streamers is because I hate tying small flies. I'm going to just be really honest with you. I really don't like it. And it just gets too meticulous for me. Maybe that's a sign of laziness or something. I'm not sure. It's just not my gig. However, I do have some other, like the other day, I did some of these drunken disorderlies, which isn't really as long as this. It's maybe 3/4 as long. I also have some of these. Gunnar Bremer started tying these like little these sculpin patterns, and so I'm working on an inverted version of that, but I haven't had success yet. I got out to the river and this thing just swam upside down, which fail. But I want to work that out a little bit. Okay, now look at this. When you look at this straight on, this has a profile. This has a really good up and down profile on the front of here. And I really, really like that. I'm preparing for it. I'm going to put in my hackle feathers now. So I'm going to come back here and put in, I already pre-selected these. So I'm going to go ahead and put these in here. Gonna go ahead and smash that stem so it's flat, so I can tie that in without it rolling on me. Hopefully, the one yesterday rolled. It did. It totally did, and I was really bummed out about that. But I'm going to just see if I can get this to go right where I want it. That looked like it went right where I wanted it. Absolutely. Going to measure this out and make sure that it's mirrored properly. Flatten that stem out. That started, dang it, that started to roll. Hopefully I can get this one to lay right. I think it worked. Yes, it did. So I'm just going to work my way forward with this a little bit more. And before we do anything else, I'm going to put a dap of glue on each spot to make sure that that's not going to roll out and change positions. Yeah, good. You can see if I switch my views here for you that this feather, this side hackle feather right here looked, came out really good. It kind of stuck up, right? But it came out really good. This one rolled on me just a little bit. So that feather there has, it's kind of twisted just a little bit. If you look at it from the front, you might, maybe not. Sorry. Right, continuing on, brook trout. What about mixing in some black with that last bit of orange and yellow? The last bit of orange and yellow mixing in some black. Yeah, you could darken this head up if that's what you wanted to do. I mean, anything goes as far as colors go. I'm just trying to get some barring in. That's all I'm doing. So when you see this green, that's right. You see this green here. You got some chartreuse here, and I'm going to do green on the top, and then I'm going to do chartreuse on the bottom. That's my plan right now, anyways. And then I'm going to finish it off with some more green. I just, that darker pattern. You're absolutely right, man. You could, I could put some green on the top, some chartreuse on the bottom, and then just finish it off with some black. Maybe I'll do that. I got some black bucktail. Might have to dig it out, but I got 13% battery left on my good camera here that's on my Vice. So at some point, I might have to switch to a different camera and take 5 seconds and switch that battery out. I don't have like a AC power supply for my Sony camera, which is funny. You'd think that I would. Okay, I'm touching that, making sure it's not too tacky before I lay this in. Coming in on the top here, looking at my hackle feather, making sure that's laying appropriately. Bring this down. Get that rotating for me. Oh yeah, I like that. I really like that. I really, really like that. There's that. I'm going to come in with chartreuse for the bottom. Have I ever used any type of game changer for trout? I have a little bit. I like them. They sink really fast. They're, because of in my experience. So they have like that, all those shanks on the inside, kind of like these musky flies, but they've got a lot more shanks on the inside of them. They hold a lot more water, especially if you're using like the Blaine Chocolat body material, which I like. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking it. The reason why I don't use them as much is because they sink really fast, and I am more of a fan of this is just an opinion, okay? So don't take this the wrong way. I have more of an opinion of using an unweighted fly on sinking line more than using a sinking fly on unweighted line, and the reason why is I think it just gives you a little bit better action in the water. The fly is it being lighter, doesn't have as much weight. This one I want to have a specific movement for the back end and the front, so I am trying to make this fly on the back end heavier. That's an exception though in my mind. For the game changers, I think they swim great. I think they've got some really cool action. I think they're really. I mean, it's obviously it's a genius design to be able to throw the fly around. I think it's awesome. However, just for my opinion, I really like the unweighted flies, the unweighted trout streamers. I like a sex dungeon in some cases just because it's got the let's see here. It's weighted. It's got dumbbell eyes on it, and you know, it gives you that jigging motion. But then, all right, let's see here. I'm gonna change the battery in my camera. I'm gonna get a black. We're gonna make a black head on the front of this for brook trout 1. Let's go ahead and do it. Switching it out, trying to find my my bucktail. There's my black bucktail right here. All right, there's that. And then I'm gonna switch this battery out for you guys so that I don't have to do it in just a second. Let's switch cameras here. I apologize for this. Boom. Boom. See how fast I can do this. This is like NASCAR pit stop style. All right, dig that. Check that out, guys. That was super quick. That's our fly so far. Look at how narrow that front end is. Super narrow. Coming at you this way, right? Very narrow. I'm gonna put a little bit of flash in on the sides of this, and then we're gonna take our buddy Tony's advice. We're gonna come in with some black and finish this thing off. Or sorry, not Tony, but brook trout. Let's see here. Almost finished up. A little bit more flash. I'm gonna pair this flash up where I'm gonna take this this perch color, and I'm just gonna blend it with some of that darker orange because we're coming up to a darker color on the head here. So almost there. All right, guys, so as I get ready to finish this up, please, again, subscribe to the channel. Know that I'm doing a giveaway. So if you guys, if you want to get involved in that giveaway, I'm going to do this 50-50. So I'm looking at it there. I'll do 50 on one side. All right. Just almost like lateral line, not quite. Spreading it around. I'm going to come all the way up onto that. This side here. All right, and I'm getting ready. We're going to do black all around. Black all around. Clip. Again, I'm going to do this in 2 parts. I'm going to do the top and the bottom. These are thinner pieces. Okay. There's my top. I'm not using a lot here at all. This is just a little pinch. Thanks for the tip, brook trout, on the colors here. I kind of dig this. Pinching that. Flaring it out. Getting ready to finish this thing off. Okay, I'm gonna trim this up. You can see I got some wild hair going on there. I'm gonna trim this thing up though. Take me just a second here to really appreciate you guys watching. I really do. Just gonna get this. I've still got some. I'm kind of pulling that out. You can see I've got some other fibers that are just kind of trapped in there. So I'm just gonna trim that up. I'm not worried about it at all. There we go. Now, one of the things that you're going to see here, if you look close enough to this fly, is that I have kind of a blank, kind of a bald spot almost, right here. I'll try to make this focus, like right in here. And then I also have one right in here. Now, what I can do is I can either work the hair around that section as I tighten this down, or I can use that for the spot where I want my eyes to go. So, the take home from this video, if I had any take home that I could give you on this video at all, it would be learn from your mistakes. Yesterday I tied a fly. When I went back and I watched how I tied it, I realized that there were a number of things that I could be doing better in the process. And I think that that is true for every one of us. When we tie, we look back and we go, oh man, I could have done this, or oh man, I could have done that. And, just be humble enough to admit it and say, hey, what could I do? How could I do that better? Is there something I could have done to make that fly better, to do something different? Now, when I look at this and I start looking at that profile, I think we're good here. We got a really wide profile on that. I'm going to whip finish this. And I got one more thing that's going to be kind of funny. So I actually had the thought yesterday when I was doing this, I don't have any like 10 millimeter eyes. All right. I don't have any eyes that are really big enough. And so when I started working those 8 millimeter eyes into the side of that fly yesterday, I was kind of disappointed with myself because I found that, I don't know, it was a lot. I don't know. It got more messy and cumbersome than I wanted it to. So what I'm doing right now is, looks like I'm having some issues here. YouTube is not receiving enough video to remain smooth streaming such. Hopefully. You guys still got me on there? Hopefully you guys still got me. I'm getting an error code right now. Basically, to cut it back to the point of the my deal here is that I've got googly eyes at this point. I've got some googly eyes, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lay these in. And what that's going to spread some of these out, okay? And I'm going to lay a little bit of that in there. I'm going to spread some of these fibers out on this side. And I'm going to lay a little bit of that in there. Boom. It's going to get a little bit messy. But now because I have bigger eyes on this section here, I'm able to take this and work that material in on both sides and maintain a flat profile. I can pinch this now and I can work this stuff in. Like I can come up, I can come down, and what it's doing is it's getting that E6000 all over in that stuff. So that right there is your improved fly from yesterday. So here we go. That is the fly right there. Look at how narrow that head profile is. We get a very good articulation, top and bottom, side to side. This thing, I mean, look at that thing. That thing will literally lay 90 degrees over in one direction. I'm really digging that. So this E6000 will dry up. What I'm going to do is as this E6000 dries, I will do things like just position those hackle feathers a little bit better where I want them to hang off to the side. The other thing that I will do is I'll just keep pinching this together, right? I'll just keep working that around. And as that dries, I can just keep coming back to it every few minutes, pinch it a little bit, and that thing is going to be good. A little bit of flash, some hackle, and at this point, that's it. So we're gonna let that thing dry. This thing will, because it's narrow in the front, it's gonna kick side to side when the back end pushes it forward. That's your quarantine session tying video today, guys. Stay tuned to the next video. I'm gonna announce 3 winners for the 2 hats. These 2 hats, and then the fly tying box that comes for the Davy Jones popper with all the materials and an instructional video that'll teach you how to tie that. But to win any of those hats or the fly tying kit, you need to comment on this video. You need to be subscribed to the channel, like the video. I will catch you guys later. Oh, well, good for you. How'd you do it?